This is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Grace and peace to you. Well, Augustine today in his Confessions is going to take up a question. And in the question that he takes up, he also takes up the whole idea of questioning and its ability to give a rise to faith in us, because it really doesn't. I have sadly encountered many people in my life who have some philosophical question about God. And because they can't get the answer they're looking for, they will not consider faith. Why is there suffering in the world? Why doesn't God do something about it? Or, as Augustine says today, isn't it a sign of being completely out of date that people say to us, what was God doing before he made the sky and the earth? If he wasn't doing anything, they go on, if he wasn't busy, then why didn't he stay off work from then on and forever, just as he always did before? In other words, if all of a sudden God one day decided to create, then what was God doing before that? And why didn't God just keep doing whatever was before that? Why should we be created? Today, that takes a manifestation to say, to look at the scientific world and all of the answers that we have from science, and to say, well, we didn't need God to create. The world has all its own explanations, which it really doesn't. We know more, but we don't know all. Why didn't God just keep doing nothing, I guess, instead of something? This is a testament to the way we set up roadblocks, that if we can't understand God the way we want to understand God, then, well, we're not going to believe in God. We're not going to have faith in God. We're not going to trust God. But that doesn't make God any less real, for you exist. And Augustine is sure of that. He goes on, if any new impulse, any new will arose in God so that he undertook the creation, which he'd never undertaken before, how can there be a true eternity? In other words, there was something that was of God that wasn't of God. And so, see, you're starting to get yourself a headache through your question. The people who say these things don't understand God yet. That's what Augustine says. You, the wisdom of God, the light of our minds. They don't understand how things can come into being both through you and in you. I'm going to let you think about that one for a while, because there is a big difference. But you have to chew on it for a while. Things come into being by God's command, and they exist in the objective world beyond God, but they also come to be in God, as part of God, as a manifestation of God in some way. Not that everything that God has created is God, but it is loved by God, and so it comes into being both through God's power and in God's own heart. I love the translation here next. They've tried to play the eternal wise guys, but even now their hearts are fluttering around past and future movements of things, and even now proving themselves pieces of pure frivolity. They're eternal wise guys, and essentially they're getting themselves so twisted up that they'll never find an answer. It's frivolous. It doesn't make any difference. Here's the question: who will hold the human heart so that it stands still and sees how eternity, which is neither future nor past, stands still and decrees future and past times? You're going to have to read that one several times. I've been reading it for a long time, and I still find meat on the bone, if you will, and not complete understanding of what he's trying to say. But I do get this: God is now. And in God's now, in God's being, I am, I exist, God is also existing in the past and the future. Everything is present to God at once. God doesn't wait for things to happen, they've already happened. God doesn't need to remember things in the past like we do, they still are happening. In God, eternity is manifest because it is all one big moment of divine love. And if we can begin to pick away at that a little bit, we realize that we spend an awful lot of time not living in the present. And we spend a lot of time interpreting what is beyond our reach in future and the past. To ask the questions that we say must be answered before we can believe is to be bound up in past and future instead of the present moment and the present love of God, which is as real as your breath and your heartbeat. Amen.